The Kansas City Chiefs defense had a phenomenal game against a really good 49ers offense. An explosive offense that was regularly putting up 30 plus points week in, week out over the course of this season. Came into this game against the Chiefs and really got shut down. Steve Spagnola runs an elite scheme. He has a couple of elite players and he put those guys in a position to make those elite plays. And those guys definitely stepped up and made those plays. One of the things I noted last night in this Super Bowl matchup is that when the 49ers got into their heavier packages, the Kansas City Chiefs also got into their heavier packages. What I mean by that is this. The 49ers on this one put 2 tight ends into the game, although one's technically a fullback. And the Chiefs matched that by getting big as well. The Chiefs went out and put 3 linebackers into the game. And this makes sense, but generally speaking, teams don't do this to attack the 49ers. Because the Niners are such a fast, explosive team, a lot of teams will play this offense with the nickel defense, and the Kansas City Chiefs took the opposite approach. And it actually paid off, and you'll see over the course of this game, the Kansas City Chiefs definitely made some good plays. I'm very excited to get into the film breakdown. Let's just get right into it. On the very first drive that the Niners had the football, they basically drove right downfield, got down to about the 29-yard line, and they had all the momentum. And that was until Leo Chanel, number 54, stripped the ball away, forced the fumble, and the Kansas City Chiefs defense took the ball away. Now, this play right here was one of the 2 fumbles that the Chiefs ultimately forced a fumble on. And this play is kind of interesting because they're going to line up in what looks like some sort of under front, where the Chiefs are going to shift their defense away from the strong side. So you're going to put a 3 technique on the weak side. You'll put a nose in the game. This is kind of an interesting front, but one of the things you'll see is Chanel is going to shift the defensive lineman outwards, which is kind of interesting in its own right. And Chanel's the one that's actually going to make the play, and he does a great job taking on the center. John Feliciano here, I mean, you see him hold his ground, push this guy backward, gets off the block, and then he forces the ball out. This is a really, really nice play from a really young linebacker. The guy gets his hands right into the center here. This guy's a very strong center, very physical at the point of attack. And Chanel uses that long, lengthy arm length that this guy has, and he just holds his own, pushes this guy back, gets off the block, and he spins off of it, and you see him force the ball out. And you see the Kansas City Chiefs jump on the football and ultimately get the ball and kill the momentum that the 49ers started the game with. That's a really, really nice job right there. So in yesterday's game, Christian McCaffrey really did not have that good of a game. He had 3 carries that ultimately went for about 30 yards, and then he had about 19 carries that made up the other 50 yards. And to me, a big part of that was because the Kansas City Chiefs were just all over it. From a coaching perspective, the scheme that Steve Spagnola drew up was very, very, very elite. And I think this is the way that teams are going to start to attack the 49ers run game. I think the script's now out there of how to attack them, and it may not always work. One of the things that the Chiefs did on multiple plays was when the 49ers would motion a guy over, not only do you match that motion, but when the fullback or guards pull, and you'll see on this one, both of these guys are going to pull over here to the left of the formation. You'll see how hard these safeties and linebackers are going to match that to get over the top. So if you keep an eye on the fullback on this one, as well as the safety, look at the safety match the fullback as the fullback goes to the left. To me, this is part of what sometimes happens when teams are trying to stop the 49ers. One of the things that ends up happening is when these guys start to go in motion, when Deebo Samuel goes from the wide receiver spot and he motions over to the right, what ends up happening is guys start getting confused because they need to start processing their run fits and how the motion changes and how it affects the run fits. But the Chiefs came out and said, hey, you're going to stick to your run fit. And on the back end, we're going to play man-to-man coverage. And that's going to be ultimately the recipe to win this game. So not only does the safety here match the fullback, but you also see that when the right guard here pulls number 50, Willie Gay also does the same exact thing. He's going to match it as well. And you can see how that kind of impacts the offense. There's really no gaps that end up getting created, right? No lane really develops because guys are really getting over the top. And they're getting out there and they're making sure that nothing's going to develop for Christian McCaffrey. Now, another part of this will be that on the backside, specifically these guys on the inside, these guys that are backside pursuing, they have to stay very, very fundamentally sound within their run fits. Number 69, Mike Pennell, has to be able to stick and really control this backside gap. This is pivotal. It's an important concept because if Pennell scrapes over the top of this, McCaffrey's quick enough just to cut this back to the inside. And you'll see on other plays where because of what 69 does and Christian McCaffrey not really having that cutback lane, it ultimately stops him from picking up yards. Here's another play. Once again, you're going to see the tight end go into motion and watch the safety match it. Make sure to run with the tight end. Make sure to get over the top. And this play here is going to also not pick up any yards, but this one's just a really, really nice shot by Mike Pennell. When you look at a guy like Trent Williams, and you look at what Trent Williams has been able to do over the course of his career, and you look at Pennell absolutely crush him and really hold his ground and really stop this play. 1st and 10. This is how you back up an offense on the chains. And this is what you got to do if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. You got to get the most out of the players you have. You got to get the most out of these guys. And Pennell's had a very, very good season, especially depending on the run. The guy's been able to hold his own. This is a very, very physical, powerful wrap by a really good defensive lineman, especially against the run. You see it, holds his ground, gets off the block, and they blow this play up. That's a really, really nice job right there. Now, when you look at those last two plays, guys are following the motion, guys are getting over the top, and guys are playing on the backside. But you got to keep in mind, the 49ers are known as a wide zone team. They're known to have so much success running this stretch run, and they did not have success last night. And the reason why was because the Kansas City Chiefs were really setting the edge. They're doing a really nice job attacking. We actually saw this kind of get stopped a couple of years back in the Super Bowl with Bill Belichick going up against the Rams. And Bill Belichick did something a little bit different, but it's very similar in the same ways. One of the ways that Bill Belichick stopped the Rams' explosive offense a couple of years back was he forced every single run to basically have to bend it back to the inside. So the way to do that is to take these linebackers and really set the edge and hold the ground. Make sure that this running back does not have the option to hit it all the way to the outside. So on this play, what the 49ers want to do is they want to double team the defensive end with the fullback, and then they want to go up to the linebacker, and they want to stretch this all the way to the left side. But if you keep an eye on what kind of happens within this play, number 54 is going to see this, and Chanel's going to come downhill, and he's going to set the edge. You see him take on the tight end. You see him use that length that he has, right, that arm length right there. And you see him get downhill and really set the edge. So what happens with that is now the running back does not have the ability to hit it to the outside. And he has to look to cut it back to the inside. Now that only works if these guys are able to reach on these defensive linemen. And the Chiefs did a really good job making sure to stay within their run fits and pursue the play from the backside. You see Chris Jones on this one taking on the young guard in Spencer Burford, and he makes sure that he cannot get reached. He makes sure to play this in a way that the guard cannot get out in front of him. And he pursues this from the backside, and the play does not work. But it goes even beyond that. You look at the double team here by the two offensive linemen, and you see that number 92 is not going to allow the guard to get up to Willie Gay. Number 92 is going to hold this block. He's going to not allow the reach, and although Gay doesn't make the play, he's in his run fit. So technically, even if McCaffrey wants to cut this early and try to hit it back into this gap because Chris Jones gets over the top, well, it's not going to be there because Gay's right in his gap. And you can just see across the board, there's no cutback option for Christian McCaffrey. And this is how you stop the wide zone. You set the front side edge, you pursue from the backside, and everybody has to stay within their run fits. And just on so many plays, and play after play after play, the 49ers offense just continue to struggle to run the football. The Chiefs continuously set the edge. They continuously force the running back to have to cut it back to the inside. And on the inside, the defensive linemen pursued the backside run fits, and there was just nowhere for Christian McCaffrey to go. 3rd and 2 right here. And you see that not only does Chanel set the edge, but you see the defensive linemen on the inside are going to pursue this from the backside. And again, there's just nowhere for Christian McCaffrey to go. So that's a really, really nice job on that one. I also think another thing that Spagnola did a really good job at was designing blitzes. He really made sure that Brock Purdy didn't know where the pressure was coming from. He didn't know exactly who was coming. And the offensive line could not set up the protection costs properly. Literally all night, they were not able to design it properly. And you see guys just coming free and taking massive shots on the quarterback. You see this one, Bolton comes off the right edge. And you can see that the 49ers just didn't have the numbers. And the quarterback takes a massive shot, and it's an incomplete pass. Now, another way that the blitz ultimately impacted this game was when the 49ers were trying to run this wide zone play action bootleg. By bringing that linebacker off the edge, well, now the 49ers are basically bootlegging right into that blitz. And that basically was another way the 49ers ultimately were not able to have success on the offensive side. You can see on this one, Bolton comes off the left edge. And the quarterback, as soon as he turns around him, you don't want to see this. Because that's just not going to give you a clean enough pocket to lead your tight end or wide receiver. And you can see on this one, the play basically picks up nothing. But even besides that, the 49ers can basically win the game right here. If they pick up the first down, they can basically run the clock out and kick a field goal at the end of the game and win the game. And Steve Spagnola once again drew it up. He once again brought a blitz, and that blitz was just not properly picked up. And to me, this was the confusion on the part of the 49ers because they had the numbers to pick this blitz up. Now on this play here, if you guys look at the numbers, one of the things you guys are going to see is that there's basically going to be two guys that are going to end up picking up one guy. And there's another guy that basically comes free. So on this one here, you're going to get the right guard and running back on number 27, while number 22 basically comes free. And that's going to impact the pass because 22 is going to jump and there's just not going to be enough of a throwing lane for the quarterback. Now, if the protection call was a little bit better, and I think this is a great job by Spagnola to continuously confuse the pass protection and the running back, and he really doesn't know who's coming and who's not. I mean, this is exactly how you want to draw it up. And even in overtime, on the final play of the game, the Kansas City Chiefs once again brought a blitz. Ultimately, this freed up Chris Jones to get a hit on the quarterback, or at least impact the quarterback enough that on 3rd and 4, they basically just threw the ball away. Some people have talked about this play a little bit, that the wide receiver at the top ended up getting open because the cornerback fell. Now, if the quarterback had the time, maybe that's a touchdown. Now, the game wouldn't have technically ended there because of the new playoff rules, but it would have definitely made it a little bit harder for the Chiefs because they would have had a little bit more pressure in overtime. All right, they got to score. And then we heard that they would have obviously went for the 2-point conversion, which would have been an absolute insane ending to a Super Bowl. But to me, the Kansas City Chiefs defense did a really, really good job against a very explosive offense. From shutting down the run game to outside the first quarter, really being able to contain Brock Purdy in the passing game, holding George Kittle to basically nothing. To me, this was a really, really nice job by the entire defense. Hats off to the Kansas City Chiefs. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, consider subscribing, and I will see you guys next time with another video.